Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for coming this evening. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Hare Rama Hare Krishna. So welcome to everyone this evening. Really happy to be with you all. Really happy to be in Nairobi. And I was thinking what we could discuss today. And I got inspired yesterday because we were speaking to different devotees about Srila Prabhupada and how he was here in Nairobi. I guess that's the similar point between Nairobi and London, that Srila Prabhupada spent so much time in both of these places. And I was thinking how important Srila Prabhupada is in our life, isn't it? Put your hands up here if you have ever met Srila Prabhupada face to face. No one. Yet Srila Prabhupada is so important to all of us. Can you think of anyone else in your life who you never physically met, but who is still so important to you in your life? You will struggle to find anyone else like that. But actually, we are all meeting Srila Prabhupada every single day. Because you meet Srila Prabhupada through his teachings, you meet Srila Prabhupada through the devotees who knew Srila Prabhupada and who then share their memories. And most importantly, you can meet Srila Prabhupada every single day through your service and through your dedication to Srila Prabhupada. And so today we're going to spend some time just thinking about Srila Prabhupada and why he's so important to us in our life. Because the fact of the matter is that Srila Prabhupada did something that nobody else did. There are many great teachers in this world, there are many great saints, but Srila Prabhupada, we can say, was unique. You see, when Srila Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, then when he came back to India, some of his god brothers were saying, yeah, it's okay. Anyone could have done. After all, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted it. Prithivite achayata nagaradigram. It's going to go to every... So he did it. Anyone could have done it. So Srila Prabhupada, when he heard this, he told a story. He told the story of Christopher Columbus, who had discovered America. And after Columbus had discovered America, then he came back and then he met with all of his explorer friends, and his explorer friends were saying, anyone could have done, you just sailed and you found. And anyone could have done it. So what Columbus did is, in front of all of them, he brought an egg. And he said, I want any one of you in the room to stand this egg on its head. How do you stand the egg on its head? So all these explorers, they were completely baffled. How to do it? No one could do it. Then Columbus took it and he popped the top of the egg. And then he just stood it up. And he said, that's how you do it. Anyone could have done, but I have done. So Srila Prabhupada said the same. Anyone could have done, but I have done. Was Srila Prabhupada saying that out of pride? I have done, I am the doer, I am the one who achieved it. No, Srila Prabhupada said, I have done because I was loyal, because I was dedicated to my spiritual master, because I believed 100% in what he said and I didn't divert my attention anywhere else, but I focused 100% on my spiritual master, therefore I could do it. And the lesson for us is, if we focus 100% on Srila Prabhupada, then we can also do amazing things, not because we are amazing, but because Srila Prabhupada is amazing, and when you're connected to a powerhouse, you also become powerful. See, there is a difference between a guru and an acharya. Is Srila Prabhupada a guru or an acharya? Well, he's both. Because every guru is an acharya. But every acharya is not necessarily, every acharya is a guru. But not that every single guru is an acharya. A guru teaches the disciples in their immediate generations, in their immediate vicinity. But an acharya, they teach all around the world, even to places they haven't gone to, and even times beyond what they exist. A guru protects their own disciples, but an acharya protects the whole sampradaya. You see, a guru, they make others disciples, but an acharya, what they do is they make so many disciples who then become gurus themselves. That's the power of an acharya, that they can make so many more gurus. So Srila Prabhupada was not ordinary. And today what I'm going to try to share with you is why Srila Prabhupada was such an incredible personality, because he had so many different dimensions to his character. And when you see this, you will realize some people only usually have one or the other. But in Srila Prabhupada's life, you will see how he has both. Therefore, today's presentation is called Srila Prabhupada from All Angles of Vision. The first thing I want to share with you today, which we all know, but which we have to think deeply about, is that Srila Prabhupada was going deep. Right? You know this picture. This is Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, in the Radha Damodar temple. In 1956, Srila Prabhupada decided to take Vanaprastha. Sorry, 1954, I think, to Vanaprastha. 1956, he came to Vrindavan to stay in the Vamsi Gopal temple.
But then in 1959, Srila Prabhupada took sannyas, and then he came to this place, Radha Damodar. Srila Prabhupada said, this place is the center of the hub of the wheel of the entire spiritual world. He said, this is the most sacred place in the universe. Just behind this temple, there's a border wall, and just over that wall is Seva Kunj. And he said that in this forest, even today, Radha and Krishna are performing their pastimes. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, even sometimes I was hearing Krishna's flute. Oh, very nice. Later on, many years later, when Srila Prabhupada saw a picture of Radha Damodar temple, he said, oh, I was staying there. It was too much ecstatic. Too much ecstatic. So Srila Prabhupada was living here between 1959 and 1965. And what was he doing? He was going deep. He was praying. He was studying. He was preparing himself to go all around the world. He was begging for the mercy of his predecessor teachers, and specifically he was begging for the mercy of Rupa Goswami. Isn't it? You see in this picture, Srila Prabhupada would take his prasadam and he would look out of the window. And out of the window, what would he see? The samadhi of Rupa Goswami. And he was praying, empower me. One Babaji, many years later, he told the story that one night he woke up and he heard someone screaming. He thought it was someone screaming. Then he came and he overlooked the courtyard, and Srila Prabhupada was in the courtyard in the middle of the night, and he was sweeping in front of the samadhi of Rupa Goswami, and all alone there while sweeping he was praying, oh Rupa Goswami, you please empower me, how I will be able to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Srila Prabhupada was going incredibly deep. Here, every day he would rise early, he would chant his japa, he would translate books. Then he said at 10 o'clock he would go around Vrindavan to all the different temples for darshan, and then he would get some vegetables from the market, Loi Bazaar. And then he would come back to Radha Damodar temple, and have you seen? Srila Prabhupada used to have a 3-tier cooker. He said, cooking is quick business. 35 minutes, everything should be done. So rice, sabji, dal, all cooked in one steam cooker. And Srila Prabhupada, within 1 hour, he would have his prasadam ready. And then he would take the Raja Bhog from Radha Damodar. And then he would take prasadam. Then he said, I would have 15 minutes nap. LSD, left side down. 15 minutes nap after prasadam, and then Srila Prabhupada would just write. So they noticed him in the Radha Damodar temple. This man, he's always writing, constantly writing. Yes, because Srila Prabhupada was going deep. You can't give what you don't have, you see. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada spent that time in Radha Damodar. But Srila Prabhupada wasn't just about going deep. Srila Prabhupada was also about reaching out. You see, some people may go deep in their life, but then they don't reach out to others. And other people, they may reach out to others, but they don't go deep in their own spiritual life. Therefore, Sanatana Goswami, he glorifies Haridas Thakur. Achar prachar karaha karaha dui karya. Tumi sarva guru tumi jagatera arya. You are the most elevated devotee in the world because you have what? Achar. You go deep yourself, and not just that, prachar. You also try to give to others. Some people only do one or the other, but you do both. So Srila Prabhupada, he was just reaching out. Look here, he went from the center of the spiritual world, and then he went to the center of the material world. He went to America, not just America, he went to New York. Not just New York, he went to the Lower East Side of New York. This place is known as Skid Row. You understand the terminology, Skid Row? That means it's where all the criminals are. It's where all the prostitution takes place. It's where all the drug dealers are. It's where there's the highest rates of crime. Srila Prabhupada was living in the Bowery. He said, one day I was walking through the foyer to get into my room and I had to walk over a dead person. Can you imagine living in such a place? Prabhupada was living there because he was reaching out. He was trying to give to others. So Srila Prabhupada went. He went there. You see here, he just went in the park, Tompkins Square Park. And he just sat underneath the tree. And he just started chanting Hare Krishna. And people stopped. And they were like, which planet did this person arrive from? It was so strange. It was so different. But Srila Prabhupada just did it. And people stopped, and then they became more interested. And then gradually, Krishna consciousness began spreading through America. Srila Prabhupada went to this place. It was so alien, you see. Mukunda Maharaj explains, once he had gone, at that time he was just Michael Grant. So one time he liked the Swami, so he took the Swami once to see one VIP, and the VIP had given some very expensive dates, from Middle East, very high quality. So as they were driving back, Srila Prabhupada opened the box of dates, and so he thought, let me try one. So Prabhupada took a bite out of the date. And as he took a bite out of the date, he said, oh, very nice, very sweet. So then Michael Mukunda, he was driving. So Srila Prabhupada gave him. Bhakta pada dhuliyar, bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesha, tina mahabal. If you get the remnants of a great devotee, that's wow. But Michael Grant, he had no concept of Mahaprasad. He was just a new man. So Prabhupada had bitten it, and then he gave it. So he thought, why is he giving it to me? He said, his saliva is all over it. I can't, what am I going to do with this? He had no concept, this is Mahaprasad. He said, why is he giving? Like sometimes in the West we share cups of drink or something, but this, he's eaten it, his saliva is all over it. So he thought, what will I do? But he's giving it to me, the Swami must be giving it. I mean, I don't want to disrespect him. So Michael Grant thought, okay, maybe it's a sign of love. So then he took the date, half eaten. So then he took one bite himself. And then he gave it back. So Prabhupada goes, why are you giving back to me? The Prabhupada didn't accept it. Then he realized, oh no, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should just finish it. Just see, no concept. Prabhupada went to an alien place. They had no idea. It was so different for Srila Prabhupada. It was such a different culture. Once he went into a program, and as he came into a program, like he was walking in, and then on the stage, he was supposed to give a lecture here. On the stage, there were 3 men, and they were dancing in banana suits. You know, they dressed up as bananas, and they were dancing. So Prabhupada walked in, he said, what is the meaning of this? So they said, no, Prabhupada, the hippies, they have realized that if you take banana skin and you dry it in a certain way, and then you put a flame underneath it and you inhale the fumes, then it is like a cheap form of intoxicant. So they said they're very happy. So they're celebrating. So Prabhupada was thinking, my God. But then the devotee said, but it's okay, Srila Prabhupada. The hippies, they have decided for Jagannath in San Francisco that every single month they have committed themselves to donating 1 ton of bananas for Jagannath. The only condition is they want the banana skins back. Prabhupada said, this is such an alien thing. They're giving us the bananas. They want the banana skins back. An alien place Srila Prabhupada was in. When Srila Prabhupada came in 1965, he was in New York. Do you know that 1965 in New York was the coldest recorded winter in New York history? Srila Prabhupada was there in the cold. He had never seen snow When he saw snow for the first time, he said, I thought someone had painted the whole city white. Never seen snow. So it was so different for Srila Prabhupada. He would buy vegetables at the store, and then in the very early days, he went to his basket full of vegetables, then he went to the checkout. So, they typed there and said, this, $15. Prabhupada said, I'll give you 10. No, this is America. This is not India. This is not Louis Bazaar. The price is the price. But Srila Prabhupada was used to that. He was used to a completely different culture. But Srila Prabhupada just reached out. So this is a very deep lesson for our life. We have to go deep in our own spiritual life. And then we have to try to reach out to others. We have to try to go to those who don't know anything. But Srila Prabhupada taught us you can't give what you don't have. You see, another time Srila Prabhupada, he went with Shyamasundar Prabhu and their daughter Saraswati. Remember? Saraswati, little girl. So Srila Prabhupada liked her very much. So they went to this home of a vice chancellor. So the vice chancellor, he liked this little girl so much, Saraswati, that he gave her a deity of Krishna, 6-inch deity of Krishna, playing the flute. So she fell in love with that deity. But later on, Srila Prabhupada, when some days later, he said, I took the deity away because she's very young, maybe. So Prabhupada had taken the deity. So as they were speaking, Saraswati, she came running into the room, crying. She said, Krishna is gone, Krishna is gone. Because Srila Prabhupada had taken the deity. So she was crying, Krishna is gone, Krishna is gone. So Prabhupada looked at her and said, where is Krishna? She said, I don't know, where is Krishna? I don't know, where is Krishna? Prabhupada said, check, maybe under the pillow. So she went under the pillow. No, Krishna is not there. Where is Krishna? Check, by the bookshelf. She went there. No, he's not there. Prabhupada said, just like the Goswamis. Hey Radhe Vrajadevi Ge Chalalide, Hey Nanda Suno Kuta. Just as the Goswamis were walking around Govardhan, where is Krishna? Maybe Krishna's here, maybe Krishna's there. And then finally, Prabhupada looked at Saraswati and said, where is Krishna? Who has Krishna? Who has Krishna? And then Saraswati came running to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, you have Krishna. And then from Prabhupada behind the back, he gave her the deity. Yes, Prabhupada had Krishna. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati ache. Because you have Krishna, therefore you have the power to give Krishna to others. So Srila Prabhupada was connecting with Krishna. He was interacting with Krishna. He loved Krishna. But he wasn't satisfied with that. He was also then going out and giving and sharing that love with others. That's why Srila Prabhupada was so amazing. Srila Prabhupada was thinking big. This was one aspect of his personality. He was always thinking big. This is in Mayapur. One time Srila Prabhupada was on a morning walk with Bhagavat Prabhu in Mayapur, and all of a sudden, this is when nothing was there in Mayapur, and all of a sudden Prabhupada put his cane in the ground and he stopped and he said, you should buy all the land in Mayapur. They were thinking, we already got all these acres, we don't even know what to do with it. Prabhupada said, you should buy all the land in Mayapur. Okay, and then what? And then Prabhupada said, and then you should apply to the Indian government for independence. And you should create the country of Mayapur. Wow. And then Prabhupada said, every temple president around the world will be an ambassador of the country of Mayapur. And then Mayapur will have its own currency, 5 Chaitanyas, 10 Chaitanyas, 15 Chaitanyas. They're thinking, my God, Srila Prabhupada's vision is so big. We're just a few people here. What will happen? But Srila Prabhupada was thinking big. And where is Mayapur now? It is a spiritual city. And when they built Mayapur, you see here, can you see this? This hut here? It seems a little bit out of place when you go into Mayapur. Right at the front gate of this amazing temple, you see this mud hut, and you think, what's this mud hut doing here? But Srila Prabhupada said, I want you to keep this mud hut here, because this mud hut was the first place that Srila Prabhupada stayed in when there was nothing in Mayapur. It was full of mosquitoes, there was no proper drinking water. Mayapur was also infested with snakes, and he was just living there simply. And Srila Prabhupada said, one day we'll have a huge temple here, but even when the huge temple comes about, you should not take this mud hut out, because I want everyone to see this is where it all began, and this is where it is now. That was Srila Prabhupada. He was always thinking big. One time, Tribhuvanath Prabhu, he went with Srila Prabhupada and they were driving past Buckingham Palace in London. So Tribhuvanath Prabhu, he turned to Prabhupada as they were walking past the palace and he said, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, one of the Queen's guards has become a devotee of Krishna. He thought that was quite impressive. So Prabhupada looked back at him and said, oh, and what about the Queen? The Queen? The Queen become a devotee. No, Prabhupada was not satisfied that the God become a devotee. No, the Queen should also become a devotee. You have to think big. So Srila Prabhupada, he was always thinking big. When he was in 26 2nd Avenue, he used to have a globe. And he used to spin the globe. And he used to say, Brahmananda will go to Africa, and this person will go here, and this person will go there. And they just thought, we're just a few people in this storefront. It will not go beyond New York. No, Srila Prabhupada had a vision. So a devotee is always thinking big. A devotee is always trying to do better things for Krishna. A devotee is always seeing that Krishna is the master of all mystics. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno, Yatra Partha Tanurdhara. That wherever there is Krishna and wherever there is the sincere devotee, there will always be victory. So a devotee is daring, a devotee is bold, a devotee is always trying to expand the mission. But not just that, Srila Prabhupada was also attentive to details. Wasn't just thinking big, but he was also attentive to details. You see here, this is Krishna Balaram Temple, and Krishna Balaram Temple is a huge operation, but right in the front of Krishna Balaram Temple, there's a bell. And that bell was so important to Srila Prabhupada because Srila Prabhupada wanted that bell, every single half an hour, it must ring. But in India, the chokidars, the guards, extremely unreliable. So it was a headache to try to get them to ring the bell every single half an hour. They would be sleeping, they would miss. But Srila Prabhupada was always attentive. In the middle of the night, he would call the devotees. The bell didn't ring. Wake up the guard. The bell must ring. I thought there's a huge project going on. The bell may or may not ring. That's okay. That's just a detail. No, the bell must ring. And then at one point, Srila Prabhupada said, I'm judging the whole management of the Vrindavan temple based on whether the bell rings or not. My God. Attention to detail. Srila Prabhupada was not just doing big things, but he was conscious of everything. One time Srila Prabhupada was walking around the temple and he said to the devotees, I can hear, but you cannot hear. I thought, my God, what is he hearing? Maybe he's hearing Krishna, maybe he's hearing some message, maybe he's hearing, some sacred, holy sound from another dimension that we don't have access to because our consciousness is not purified. Srila Prabhupada said, I am hearing, but you are not hearing. Come with me. And as they were walking around the temple, they walked into one room and they went to the corner and there was a sink and the sink was dripping. Prabhupada said, I am hearing, but you are not hearing. The sink is dripping. Why are you wasting Krishna's energy? This is Krishna's energy. Attention to detail. So Srila Prabhupada was doing both. This is bhakti. Bhakti doesn't just mean to do a quantity of service, But bhakti also means to do a quality of service that is very, very pleasing to Krishna. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada, can you see how many aspects to his personality he had? Srila Prabhupada was incredibly scholarly, isn't it? He said of the Goswamis, Nana Shastra Vicharane Kunipuno Sadharma Sanstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manya Sharanya Karo. The Goswamis, what they were doing is they were studying all the books of wisdom, and then they were summarizing it in such a way to make it accessible to the people of the world. And Srila Prabhupada was basically doing the same. He was taking a very, very complex philosophy and he was making it very, very understandable to the people. Because there are so many literatures. If you try to read them, you won't have the time. But even if you had the time, you don't have the intelligence to understand it. And even if you had the intelligence to understand it, we don't have the patience to sit there and do it. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada just condensed it all down and made it very, very accessible to us. Srila Prabhupada didn't just get the message right, but he got the message across in such a way that people could understand it. So Srila Prabhupada had such a quick intellectual ability to present Shastra to others. Srila Prabhupada was the best at answering questions, for example. Like one person asked him, Swamiji, is the earth flat? Prabhupada said, everywhere I walk it is. They said, no, Prabhupada, they say that we evolved from monkeys. Prabhupada said, if you believe that, then you are still a monkey. One person asked Srila Prabhupada in London, does Krishna speak Bhagavad Gita on the hellish planets? Prabhupada said, London is hell. Again in London, one reporter said to Srila Prabhupada, why do you shave your head? This lady reporter. Prabhupada looked back at her and said, why do you shave your legs? She was speechless. So Prabhupada said, it's okay. We prefer warm legs and a cool head. Prabhupada had the best answers to all the questions. One person challenged Srila Prabhupada, why are you creating so many new temples? There are already so many temples. So Prabhupada looked back at this person and said, you have children? He said, yes. Prabhupada said, why do you have so many children? There are so many children on the street. No, but I want my own child. Yeah, we want our own temple. We want to worship Krishna in our own personal way. So like this, Srila Prabhupada had the best answers. No one could challenge him. One time he went on a radio show. And the radio show presenters, they always try to create some controversy. So the radio show looked at Srila Prabhupada, thousands of people watching. And the radio show host said to Srila Prabhupada, why have you come to San Francisco? Prabhupada said, because the rent is very cheap. Then the reporter said, are most of your disciples hippies? Prabhupada said, they are not hippies, they are happies. Then they said, Swamiji, how did you come to America? I got free passage on board. Who paid for it? Free passage means there's no cost. Are you a freeloader? Yes. Srila Prabhupada just held his cool. He knew how to present Shastra. He knew how to defeat arguments. So Srila Prabhupada was incredibly scholarly. But not just that. Srila Prabhupada was also streetwise, isn't it? He wasn't just a philosopher, but he was also a manager. He knew how to manage things. Prabhupada said, I'm not shy. Prabhupada said, in two things you should never be shy. Business and prasadam. Prabhupada said, no one can defeat me. I am a Calcutta boy. No one can defeat me. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada was the best manager. He knew how to organize a worldwide movement. He knew how to deal with different types of people. Just like Tamal Krishna Maharaj recalls that Srila Prabhupada, they would go to do deals with the book publisher. So Srila Prabhupada, he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, now as we go in, you should do some bargaining with him. So Prabhupada would just sit there and Tamal Krishna would bargain with the other manager. And then he would be on one side, no, it's too high, no, it's too low. No, you should make it this price, no, you should. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj would be. And then Srila Prabhupada, what he would do is he would go to the middle and he would become the adjudicator. So he would say, no, Tamal Krishna, you should listen to him. He has a business also. He has to do, he has to make a living. And then he would say, no, listen to him. He has some good arguments. So now Srila Prabhupada almost became the neutral person. And then finally at the end of a Prabhupada would say, I've heard both of your arguments. We should settle on this price. And somehow or other in this way he would just get the price he wanted. That was Srila Prabhupada. He was so smart. When Hridayananda Maharaj took sannyas, then Hridayananda Maharaj, he came to Srila Prabhupada's room and he said, Prabhupada, I'm so happy. Now I've taken sannyas, I can just travel and preach. So Prabhupada looked at him and he said, travel and preach? He said, I am also a sannyasi. You should do like me. In the morning I give the Bhagavatam class. And in the afternoon, I go to the bank. Bhagavatam class and the bank. Because we have work to do for Krishna. We have things we have to achieve in order to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Srila Prabhupada was not just a scholar, but he was also very, very streetwise. Srila Prabhupada was a preserver of tradition. You see, he didn't come to just teach a philosophy. He didn't just come to teach, a way of thinking. He also came to teach a lifestyle. So he was teaching the devotees, how do you cook? How do you dress? How do you clean the floor? Srila Prabhupada was teaching them all kinds of culture. He was even teaching the ladies, if you have your hair parted in this way, then it means this. If your hair is parted like this, it means this. They're thinking, what is this? Prabhupada was teaching them culture. One time Srila Prabhupada's sister, Pishima, she came to see Srila Prabhupada, and the devotee thought, his sister has come to see him. I should give them some privacy. So he walked out. Later on, Srila Prabhupada called the devotee. He said, why did you walk out of the room? He said, Prabhupada, but you were with your sister. I thought you were, some privacy. Prabhupada said, sannyasi should never be alone with a woman. That's culture. They didn't understand. Prabhupada was teaching them this culture. They were cleaning the floor. Prabhupada said, you don't know how to clean the floor. You need one dirty cloth, one clean cloth, don't mix it. Prabhupada got down on his knees and he started teaching the devotees how to clean the floor. So Srila Prabhupada was a preserver. He was of tradition. He was bringing not just a philosophy, but a way of life. But Srila Prabhupada was also an innovator of tradition, isn't it? Srila Prabhupada was also willing to change things. Srila Prabhupada allowed ladies to come on the altar. That was never allowed. That was never allowed in any temple in India, for ladies to worship the deity. No, Prabhupada allowed. Prabhupada allowed ladies to stay in the temple. Prabhupada opened it up to every gender, every nationality, every socio-cultural group. There was no bars, there was no barriers, because he innovated it and he made it accessible so that everyone can participate in it. Here you see Srila Prabhupada went in San Francisco, they organized mantra rock dance. So this was basically like it was like a rave. I don't know if you have raves in Nairobi, in London, they have a lot. Prabhupada's lecture started at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, a lecture? 1 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, Prabhupada, they said, yes, this is when everyone comes alive, you know. After midnight, everyone comes alive. So Prabhupada walked into this place. There was electric guitars, strobe lights, all kinds of people dressed in all kinds of ways. There was people high on drugs. And Srila Prabhupada just came into the middle of the stage with Allen Ginsberg. He was a famous poet. And Srila Prabhupada, in the middle of all of that, he just started lecturing. And he just started singing the Hare Krishna mantra. People went mad, they went wild. Srila Prabhupada was ready to innovate. But then later, as he was walking out of the hall, he looked back at the other brahmacharis and he said, this is no place for a brahmachari. But Srila Prabhupada was willing to go, he was willing to innovate. You see, you can't keep presenting Krishna consciousness in the same way. You have to innovate according to the time. You have to be able to preserve the principles and also adjust to the time, place, and circumstance so it becomes relevant for the people. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada was doing that. He was preserving, but he was also innovating. Srila Prabhupada was resilient. Sometimes there was so much opposition to Srila Prabhupada, but he would not budge 1 inch. In Juhu, there were so many problems. You know, Prabhupada was trying to establish the temple there, and there were so many difficulties, so many obstacles, but Srila Prabhupada just continued on and on and on. Even the devotees said, Srila Prabhupada, we should just get out of here, we should go somewhere else. Srila Prabhupada said, I made a promise to Radha Ras Bihari that I build a temple for them here. I can't leave here without making a temple. And the amazing thing is now that Juhu property is our most expensive property in the entire ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada had the vision that this would become a very exclusive place. So Srila Prabhupada was strong. Sometimes in our life there may be opposition. Srila Prabhupada said, I faced opposition everywhere. In Vrindavan, the Goswamis were criticizing me. In Mayapur, my godbrothers were criticizing me. In Mumbai, the municipality, the government was attacking me. In the West, the deprogrammers were attacking me. Everyone was attacking me. But I never budged. I never became weak. I never became hopeless. I just continued going on and on and on. So Srila Prabhupada was resilient. Once he decided to do something, he never budged, no matter what obstacles came. But Srila Prabhupada was also flexible. When he saw that one thing was not working, then he was also ready to change and try something else. Here in Jhansi, he tried to start a temple, but it wasn't working out. Then he realized, no, Krishna's got a bigger plan. So then he went to America. In America, he came to Butler, Pennsylvania, but then he realized there it was not working. So then he went to New York. But then in New York, he went to the upstate New York. But then he realized it wasn't working there, so he went to the Lower East Side. So Srila Prabhupada was always moving. He was always flexible to find where is the next opportunity to serve Krishna. So like this, we have to emulate these qualities that Srila Prabhupada displayed. Srila Prabhupada was bold and he was strong, isn't it? But at the same time, he was very kind and sensitive. It's said of the Vaishnav, Vajradapi Kathorani Mridoni Kusumadapi Lokadaranam Chaitamsi Nonu Vigyatumi Ishvaraha, that the Vaishnav is harder than a thunderbolt and softer than a rose. So Srila Prabhupada was sometimes, he was so strong, he was so hard, he was so cutting. One time he was on a morning walk and there was one rich donor there. So the devotees had brought him so that he would get the blessings of Prabhupada. So they were about to introduce him, but then Prabhupada just started speaking to him. So Prabhupada said, oh, and what do you do? He said, I manufacture glass. So Prabhupada said, you have become very rich. He said, yes, by Krishna's mercy, I have become very successful manufacturing glass. Prabhupada looked at him and he said, where does glass come from? He said, well, sand. Now, where does sand come from? The minerals, the earth. Prabhupada said, where does the earth come from? That comes from God. Prabhupada said, so basically you're a thief. Everybody's thinking, oh my God, no, he's a good guy. He's giving, he's donating, he's helping. So they said, no, Srila Prabhupada, he is very nice, he is donating, he is giving, he is supporting. Prabhupada smiled and said, okay, small thief. But the man liked it. He could understand it was not coming from ego. It was not coming from... Prabhupada was just being very honest. So Prabhupada sometimes he was very, very strong. Here he's meeting in France, one of the cardinals. And Srila Prabhupada is having a conversation with him and he's just very strong. Prabhupada is saying, in your religion it says, thou shalt not kill. So why are you killing the animals? And he's trying to explain, no, thou shalt not kill means thou shalt not kill humans. Prabhupada said, no. Then it would be thou shalt not murder. But he says, thou shalt not kill. So why are you killing? And he's going this way, that way. Prabhupada is just the same point. Prabhupada said, this is the art of fighting. When you find the weak point, just keep hitting the same point again and again and again and again. So Srila Prabhupada was bold, he was strong, he spoke out, he did not compromise the philosophy. Oh no, people won't like it if we say this, people won't accept. No, the truth has to be spoken. We will not compromise or change or dilute or twist the message. We will give it yatha roop, as it is. But at the same time, Srila Prabhupada was very, very kind. He was very, very sensitive. This is Srila Prabhupada in Butler, and this was a family he was living with known as the Agarwals. And they had a very small child, and that child's name was Bridge. And this picture is one of the first times in Bridge's life where he's standing up and walking. And look at Srila Prabhupada's expression, how kind he is, how sensitive he is. It's not that, oh, he is a pure devotee, he's beyond this world. No, Srila Prabhupada was a pure devotee, beyond this world. But he was so human, he was so kind, he was so loving, he was so relatable. And Bridge, later on, because Srila Prabhupada was living in their house for 2-3 months, Bridge, you know what he would call Srila Prabhupada? Swami Jesus. He said, oh, that is Swami Jesus. So he knew Srila Prabhupada as Swami Jesus. Yes, because Srila Prabhupada, by his love, by his compassion, by his kindness, spreading Krishna consciousness doesn't just mean defeating people. It doesn't mean just cutting philosophies. It doesn't mean just fighting illusion, but it also means to touch people's hearts. It also means to be very kind, to be very loving. This was Srila Prabhupada. So can you see now? I'm trying to give you a picture of how amazing Srila Prabhupada was. He had all these different dimensions to his personality. And so, we all have this relationship with Srila Prabhupada. You see, we should not take it for granted that we came in contact with Srila Prabhupada. I'll tell you an amazing story. Srila Prabhupada came to America on the Jaladuta, isn't it, in 1965. Srila Prabhupada arrived in America, he came off the ship. And you know what happens when a ship comes or a plane comes, it stays there for some time, they clean it up, and then after a few days it goes back. So Srila Prabhupada arrived on the Jaladuta, he came off, they cleaned up the ship, and a few days later it turned around to go to India. And there were two boys in America, their names were Keith and Howard. And they were interested in spirituality, so they thought, if we want to know more, then we need to find a guru. But how are we going to find a guru in America? Therefore, if we want to find a guru, we have to go to the land of gurus. That means we have to go to India. So 5 or 6 days after Srila Prabhupada came off the Jaladuta, these two boys got onto the Jaladuta to go to America to find a guru. Amazing, huh? They spent 1 year in America, or maybe less, 6 months. And they met many people, but they came back to America. They said, we met many swamis, we met many yogis, we met many spiritual people, but no one who we thought was our guru. And then one day they were walking down the street in the Lower East Side, and they saw a man coming towards them in saffron robes. They thought, my God, are we hallucinating? But we didn't take any drugs this morning. I think it's real. They came in front of Prabhupada, they said, are you from India? Prabhupada said, yes. He looked at them and said, are you from India? And they said, no, we're New Yorkers. They said, but we just went to India. Prabhupada said, why? They said, because we're looking for a guru. Prabhupada said, oh, you're looking for a guru? Then you come on Wednesday night. We are having Bhagavad Gita classes, 26 2nd Avenue. And that Keith and Howard, they came there, and eventually they became initiated by Srila Prabhupada, Kirtanananda and Hayagriva. So they went to India. Prabhupada came on the Jaladuta. They went on the same ship back to India. But they could not find. To find a spiritual master, very rare. Brahmanda Brahmide Gona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. The soul is traveling in this universe, all up and down in all the planetary systems, and only if they become very fortunate will they meet a spiritual master. So somehow or other we came in contact with Srila Prabhupada. And just as Srila Prabhupada said, my secret to success was I was completely loyal to my spiritual master. We have to understand that our success is if we're completely loyal to Srila Prabhupada. In any given situation, we have to ask ourselves, what would Srila Prabhupada do? How would Srila Prabhupada react? If we're able to live our life by Srila Prabhupada's teachings, by Srila Prabhupada's mood, by Srila Prabhupada's mission, then our life becomes very, very successful. And so today I'm sharing this with you for all of us to think about. What is my relationship with Srila Prabhupada? Because each of us have a relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said the spiritual master lives forever in his instructions, and the follower lives with him. So to the extent that we are aligned with the mood and mission and teachings and heart of Srila Prabhupada, then we will actually feel the presence of Srila Prabhupada in our life every single day. And so let us think deeply about this, that perhaps our relationship with Srila Prabhupada is one of the most important relationships in our life, and therefore let us think, what am I doing to invest in that relationship? What am I doing to make that relationship deeper? What am I giving to Srila Prabhupada in reciprocation for all the sacrifices and incredible endeavors that he made? You see, because what Srila Prabhupada did, even we can't appreciate. When they were closing down Bhaktivedanta Manor in London, then we had to employ a lawyer, one of these QCs, in order to defend the temple. So they're very, very smart. They're very quick. They can read books. They can understand things very quickly. So this QC, he came. Shivaram Swami was the GBC at that time. So this QC came. He said, I'm defending you guys, the Hare Krishnas. I should know something about your movement, and I should know something about your founder. can you give me some of your books? The devotees, I mean, that's music to their ears, you know. He said, yeah, we can give you many books. So they gave him all Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's life story. So he read quick, just read very quickly, because they can scan, read, they understand things quickly. So after 1 week, he came back to Shivaram Swami. He said, I understood your philosophy. I got it. I understand it. He said, your founder, this man is amazing. Shivaram Swami said, I know. That's why we dedicated our life. He said, no, you don't know. He said, no, we don't. That's why we're here, dressed like this, dedicated. He said, you don't know. Shivaram Swami said, no, we've also read the same book that you read. We know. He said, you don't know. He looked at Shivaram Swami and he said, you are 40 years old. I'm 70 years old. You don't know what it means to feel like when you're 70 years old. And to do what this man has done at 70 years old is nothing short of extraordinary. Shivaram Swami said, oh, thank you. Maybe I don't know. How can we understand? How can we understand the struggle? How can we understand the obstacles to go to a foreign place with nothing, with no money, no support, no health? It's completely inconceivable. It's nothing short of a miracle. So, Srila Prabhupada's life leaves no more room for excuses for us. You can't say, I can't do Krishna consciousness because now I'm old and my Prabhupada was 70 years old. Sorry. You can't say, no, I can't do Krishna consciousness because my health is not good. Sorry, Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks on the ship. You can't say, no, I can't do Krishna consciousness because I don't have good financial support, so many facilities in my life. Sorry, Prabhupada only had 40 rupees in his pocket. You can't say, no, I can't do Krishna consciousness because I don't have good association, I don't have, a support network around me. Sorry, Prabhupada came all alone. You can't say, no, I can't do Krishna consciousness because I'm in a foreign environment, I can't relate to the culture. Sorry, Prabhupada came to America. It was completely alien. There's no more excuses. Therefore, Krishna engineered Srila Prabhupada's life in such a way that no one can have any more excuses why they can't practice this to the best of their, in the most perfect way. No one can have any excuse. So the more and more we connect with Srila Prabhupada, the more and more of a relationship and a love we develop for Srila Prabhupada, we will see that actually our spiritual life begins to flourish. Because when you meditate, when you're constantly meditating on a great soul, then it's said that the qualities of that great soul actually become invested within you. That's the power of meditating on great personalities. And therefore our meditation every day is on Srila Prabhupada, because it's only by his grace that we were able to have this opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So thank you so much for your attention, your time. Does anyone have any questions or any comments? Yes, anything you would like to ask?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for a very inspiring talk. So I have a question that has 2 sections. First section, you mentioned the part where Srila Prabhupada shifted from Upper New York to
Lower East Side, yeah.
Lower East Side, because it was not working in Upper New York. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that there's nothing like Krishna consciousness, nothing as powerful as Krishna consciousness. But then the most significant devotee of Krishna that we know is sort of seems to go against this fact. And the second
Okay,
section,
let me answer that first, or try to share some thought on that. So Krishna consciousness is so powerful that it must be able to take root anywhere. So why did Srila Prabhupada leave places when it seemed like it wasn't working? Because that seems to contradict the fact that Krishna consciousness is powerful. See, a devotee is given intelligence by Krishna, and that intelligence also has to be used in Krishna's service. So Srila Prabhupada knew that everywhere they can take up Krishna consciousness, but if it's done in a certain way, then it will happen quicker. So therefore, I give you another example. Srila Prabhupada was trying to preach in India, and the Indians were not taking it up. Srila Prabhupada said, I went to every Indian household and I said, just give me one young boy, and I will train him up, and together we will preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. No family was willing to give even one boy. In India, they were thinking, we know this, we've done this, So Srila Prabhupada said, I have to leave India. Not because Krishna consciousness couldn't take place in India, but he knew if I go to the West, I make devotees in the West, and then I bring them back to India, then with their help, I'll be able to more powerfully preach in India. And now we see Krishna consciousness in India is probably bigger than anywhere else. So Prabhupada said this is the pizza effect, isn't it? In Italy, no one used to eat pizza, although it was the national food. It was a poor man's food. But when America started eating pizza, then the Italians thought, no, this is our pizza. This is our national food. So similarly in India, no one was listening, but then they were trying to imitate the West, but then the West took it up, so they thought, oh my God, they're taking out, we should also, this is our tradition. See, so Prabhupada was intelligent. He knew Krishna consciousness, Krishna consciousness is too powerful, it has to go everywhere. However, a devotee uses their intelligence to find out what's the quickest way in which to spread it. And therefore, if it's not happening in one place, then there are 10 other places in which it can happen. So let's go there, and then ultimately we'll come back here. Make sense?
And in connection to this, to the same principle, you've shown duality of Prabhupada, strength and bold and strong, kind and sensitive, and so on. That seems to be the prevailing concept that you use. How do we know when to switch to the other side?
That requires a little intelligence. Yeah, how do we know when to be bold and strong and when to be kind and soft? How do we know when to stay in a place? And how do we know when it's time to move on? How do we know when we should be thinking bigger? And how do we know when we have to pay attention to detail? Actually, you're supposed to do these things at the same time. It's not that sometimes you're bold and sometimes you're kind. When you're bold, when you're strong, it's still coming from a kind heart. And when you're kind, you're doing it because ultimately you want that person to become stronger. When you're thinking big, it's not that you're also not attentive to attention and detail. And when you're attentive to detail, it's not that in the back of my mind you're not also thinking how to expand. So a great personality, they don't compartmentalize their life. That sometimes I'm like this and sometimes like this. They're always imbibing these qualities. Even when Srila Prabhupada was very, very strong, it's not that he wasn't also being kind. It's just that his kindness was being expressed in a very strong way. Just like in Mumbai, there was one, another very successful businessman. His name was Seti. And so Srila Prabhupada came to him one day, this is before he became like a devotee. And Prabhupada said to him, what is your morning routine? So he said, well, I wake up, 8, 9, sometimes 10 o'clock. And then Prabhupada said, and then what do you do after that? And then he said, then I kind of lie in bed for some time, awake, and then sometimes, they will bring me some refreshment, breakfast in bed. This is like Western culture, breakfast in bed. So when Prabhupada heard that, he looked at him and he said, what is the difference between you and a pig? I said, my God, how you can say such a thing? But this man, he said later on, my whole life people were flattering me. People were always saying nice things because they wanted something from me. People were always artificially acting around me when actually they didn't really care for me. But here I met someone who just told me as it is. No ego, no agenda. He just spoke to me the truth for my benefit. So Prabhupada looked at him and said, what's the difference between you and a pig? He said, don't waste your life. Life is very valuable. And from that moment he realized, my morning routine maybe needs to change. And he became a devotee. Not just that, he did so much service for Prabhupada. He gave his life to Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada made that statement, it was full of love. It was a bold, strong statement, but full of love. So if we don't have that kind of love and compassion, we should not just go around calling people pigs, because they will get offended. But when Srila Prabhupada did it, it touched someone's heart because it was coming from a heart of kindness. So we have to learn how to imbibe both things together. That is Vaishnava. Yes. So can we listen to Vaishnavas outside of ISKCON, and if not, what is wrong with that? We cannot say that the only pure devotees are in ISKCON. That would not be true, because Vaishnavas are existing everywhere, inside of ISKCON, outside of ISKCON. There are many, many great personalities who have given their lives and their hearts to Krishna in different ways, in different traditions, in different sampradayas. So first thing we should understand is that we are not sitting here saying that only those who are followers of Srila Prabhupada in ISKCON are the only pure devotees. No, we don't say that. However, because Srila Prabhupada gave us everything in our life, where would we be if Srila Prabhupada had not come? Where would we be if Srila Prabhupada had not made that sacrifice? Therefore, our main allegiance, our loyalty is to Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, we try to stay within ISKCON, because Srila Prabhupada said, ISKCON is my body. ISKCON is the movement that I created in order to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. That doesn't mean we disrespect. That doesn't mean we put others down. But we know that our main chastity, our main loyalty is to Srila Prabhupada. The other thing to realize is that Srila Prabhupada, he came to teach the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. He came to teach how to develop love for Krishna, and he taught in a very, very specific way, with a very, very specific emphasis, training devotees in a very, very specific mood of how to practice spiritual life. Therefore, we focus on Srila Prabhupada because there could be many other Vaishnavas who are teaching the same thing, but their emphasis, their mood may be slightly different. And therefore, we are trying to focus on Srila Prabhupada because Srila Prabhupada, his emphasis is exactly what we require in Kali Yuga. to develop the highest states of spiritual consciousness. So for these reasons, again, it's not that we're saying that there are not pure Vaishnavas outside of ISKCON, but for these reasons, our main loyalty and allegiance is to ISKCON. You see, in the early days, Srila Prabhupada in 1967, he became very sick. So he had to go back to India. So when he had to go back to India, the devotees were still very young. So they were thinking, how we will practice now? Swamiji is going back to India. So Srila Prabhupada was about to leave to go back to India, and then they were in a room, and one devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, now you are going to India, maybe we can bring one of your god brothers to replace while you're away. And when they said that, Srila Prabhupada became very quiet. And then they saw a teardrop fall from his eye. And he said, my spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master. He saved me. The devotees realized what Prabhupada was teaching them. Prabhupada said, you can't just replace the spiritual master like that. The spiritual master saved you. The spiritual master put every single thing on the line to bring you to Krishna. Therefore, our loyalty, our chastity must be there. And then the devotees realized, no, there's no question of replacing Srila Prabhupada. So in this way, we try to approach our spiritual life and keep Srila Prabhupada in the center. Sometimes you see Christians, and Christians have a band around their wrist, and it has the letters WWJD. You know this? WWJD stands for, what would Jesus do? So devotees, they should have that band around their wrist, WWPD, what would Prabhupada do? Because if we do that, if we're focused on that, if we've developed that kind of deep relationship with Srila Prabhupada, then we'll never be lost. And we'll always be guaranteed to be progressing towards the most successful destination. Hope that helps. Thank you. Yes? Or, sorry, oh yes. Yeah. I think, and then you can.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for this wonderful presentation. It's very nice. My question is, I want to know a little bit more about how Srila Prabhupada, as a sannyasi, behaved, or his interpersonal relationships with the women, because there's of course the reputation of a sannyasi, and there's also the respect for women. So how did Prabhupada empower women in preaching missions and as becoming gurus as well, as being the different modes, at the same time not compromising like his reputation? Because we're not this body, we're the soul. But many times as a woman, I feel like sometimes I'm very enthusiastic about something, but I will be denied access from it because there's this concept of reputation. So if you could just explain a little bit, like, how did he empower the women at the same time keeping that standard?
So yes, one can read, there's a very beautiful book that's been compiled by Srila Prabhupada's lady disciples. I can't remember the name of that book, Srila Prabhupada's daughters or something like that. Something like that, anyway. So you can read that book to see how Srila Prabhupada empowered the lady disciples. It's clear, in Srila Prabhupada's time, he encouraged the ladies, they should also go out and preach. The ladies can also take up positions of responsibility, the ladies can also sing kirtan. I mean, we see when Srila Prabhupada heard Mother Yamuna sing Govinda Madi Purusham, he liked it so much that he said this should be played in every single temple around the world at 7 o'clock in the morning. Here we are hearing a lady sing. So yes, Srila Prabhupada appreciated it so much. It's interesting, one time she was singing alone actually, and George Harrison had kept the recorder on. So she was singing a bhajan, Bhaja Hure Mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. So she was singing this song. So she was completely absorbed. So she was singing, but the funny thing is she got the words wrong. So the words of the song are Bhaja Hure Mana. But when she sang it, she was completely absorbed that she was singing Bhaja Hara, what was it? Bhaja Mana Hure. You know that? She was singing. So she actually got the words wrong, but it was recorded. And Srila Prabhupada heard it, and he said, it's so pure, it's so sincere, it should be published, it should be. And so now you can hear that song. And the words are wrong. It's not Bhaja Mana Hure, it's Bhaja Hure Mana, Shri Nanda Nandana, Abhaya Charanaravinda. But it doesn't matter, so sincere. So Prabhupada, he saw beyond all these things, beyond gender, beyond nationality, beyond color, creed, social position. Srila Prabhupada fanned the spark. He saw where there was enthusiasm, where there was desire, and he always encouraged. We live in a movement where there are sensitivities, there are geographical sensitivities, there are different moods, there are different opinions. We have to try to be kind-hearted, we have to try to be open-hearted, we have to try to be empowering to other devotees. We have to try to look beyond all of these externals and be like Srila Prabhupada, give everyone a chance. And if we find ourselves in a situation where we feel there's some limitation, then we should understand, ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Devotional service can never be interrupted. And so even if you feel in your situation there is a restrictive, find another way in which to serve. Find a way around it. Srila Prabhupada said, I was constantly being discouraged, but I still continued on. So if you are a follower of Srila Prabhupada, try to always be positive. Try to not see problems in opportunities, but try to see opportunities in problems. Try not to be discouraged. Try not to be overwhelmed when there is some kind of obstacle. But see that from this, Krishna is making me stronger. From this, Krishna is wanting me to have more desire. And in that way, don't allow anything to stop your devotional service. Otherwise, are we just going to get into the politics of this and that? If we're in a position to make an influence, then we should represent Prabhupada's will. And if we're not, then we should just show Prabhupada's will by our own example and be confident that that will create a change in the world. So anyway, some thoughts. It's a big topic. But we need to go. So thank you so much. There are so many questions that could be there. Today, this evening, we were meditating on Srila Prabhupada. So let us think every single day how we can deepen our connection and how we can really be very close to Srila Prabhupada. Because if you are close to Srila Prabhupada, I'll just end with one final story. Srila Prabhupada, once he was lecturing and he said, if you become 80% Krishna conscious, you will go back. Everyone's thinking 80%, my God, that's high. So Prabhupada could see, and then he said, okay, 70%. Still, no one was so inspired. Prabhupada said 60%, but no less. He could see there were not many hopeful faces in the crowd. And then Prabhupada said, don't worry. just hold on to my dhoti. I've got the back door key to the spiritual world. So just stay close to Srila Prabhupada. If we stay close to Srila Prabhupada, then everything will, all wealth will come in our spiritual life. And therefore this evening we are meditating and reflecting on that. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we'd like to take this opportunity to thank His Holiness Bhagavan Keshava Maharaja for such a wonderful Prabhupada